I just recently finished Bram Stoker's Dracula and I want to talk about it. While many people have heard of the character Count Dracula, not many people have read the book that he originated from. And while Bram Stoker's Dracula might not be the first vampire book, that honor belongs to Carmilla, which was published in 1872. Dracula was published in 1897. Dracula is the most influential vampire book. When you're thinking of vampires, you're thinking about Dracula. And for a book published over 100 years ago, it has aged very well. It has aged better than your mom. Now, before I talk about the things I liked about this book, I want to get the negatives out of the way first because this book is not perfect. I think the pacing of the book could be better. This book is 27 chapters long, but I felt it could have been cut down to say 25 or 24 chapters. There were two scenes that I especially noticed. I don't want to give spoilers because even though the book is over 100 years old, most of y'all have not read it. But I think the middle portion of the books where the characters are truly introduced to vampirism, I just think that entire plot could have been shortened or could have been done quicker. And also when the characters are leaving England and going to Transylvania, that travel was like 2 chapters, but it honestly felt like 5. But outside of those two instances, I think the pacing was fine for the most part. The second thing I did not like is how this book treats women, specifically Mina Murray. When reading Dracula, published in 1897 in the year of 2024, this book was a little misogynistic. One of the lines given towards Mina is a compliment, and the line was, "You have the mind of a man, but the heart of a woman." Just imagine telling a girl as a compliment that her brain is more like a man's brain, and that's supposed to be a good thing. I find this to be very hurtful because when the characters are actually talking about their plan to take down Dracula, they intentionally exclude Mina out of these conversations simply because she's a woman. She can't handle it. That is just blatant sexism, and that is not seen as a negative. Now later on, there is a legit reason as to why Mina is kept out of the plans, but that reason comes out later, and initially it was just not a good thing. Just in general, the characters could have treated the women better, especially Mina, because Mina does become very important to the plot. Just in the book, Mina deserved better treatment. And my last criticism is going to just be the appearances of Dracula. Dracula only appears in about 7 out of the 27 chapters in the book, and out of those 7 appearances, 4 of them happen at the very beginning. Which means for across 20 chapters, Dracula only has 3 appearances. When Dracula is on page, he is really cool. I wanted to see more of him because he was so cool. I understand why Dracula the character is not really on the page very much because he's super powerful, but at the very least, his presence, the atmosphere that he brings is so good that I feel like that should have been applied more. I guess my problem with Dracula is a good thing. Dracula is really cool, and my problem is that we didn't get to see more of him. And now those are all the criticisms I had for the book. Let's talk about the things I liked. Number 1, I liked the characters. My favorite character in the book was easily Abraham Van Helsing. I love Van Helsing. That guy is the GOAT. I could write an entire essay about why I like Van Helsing so much, I'll just keep it short here. I just really like Van Helsing's personality. He's a very weird guy. He's a very eccentric old man, but at the same time, he is very nice. He is very caring. He is quite easily the nicest character in the entire book. Van Helsing gives Mina the most amount of praises that she deserves. Just in general, Van Helsing is just a very likable character. And moving on from my favorite character, my second favorite character, that's going to be easily Mina Harker. Mina is so very likable. To all the guys out there, if your girl is anything like Mina Harker, she's a green flag. Quite literally, every single character in the book loves Mina, and rightfully so. She is just that virtuous of a character. But even if you ignore her personality, Mina's contribution to the story is absolutely insane, and it's just so good. Mina is the character who single-handedly figures out the 2 biggest mysteries in the book. And not only that, she's the person that gets all the characters in the same page. Just Mina Harker, she's so awesome. And even characters like Jonathan Harker and John Stewart, I like them a lot too. Just the characters in the book, I like them a lot, and I feel like none of them are ever wasted. Now moving on from the characters, let's actually talk about the horror in this horror novel. I think this book does a very good job in creating horror. Now, I was never afraid of reading the book. I was never like reading the book and being like, ugh, I'm afraid. But the way this book creates an atmosphere, the setting, that just makes me afraid for the characters. I am not afraid of Dracula himself. I am afraid for the characters who are facing Dracula. And then as for the plot, I think the plot progression was done very well. Go from plot A to B to C to D, I think that was just done very well. At no point was I ever confused or was I ever lost. Every single thing the characters did was meaningful and none of it was ever wasted. Overall, when it comes to my thoughts by Dracula by Bram Stoker, I very much like this book. It's not a perfect book, there are a few flaws with it, but the good stuff outweighs the bad. This novel has fundamentally changed the way I will view vampire media from now on. I am a massive fan of Castlevania, and now seeing all the Bram Stoker Dracula references in this series, it's like, wow, it just really opened up for me. Bram Stoker's Dracula might be over 100 years old, but I highly recommend reading it. I think it has aged very well.